Well, hello, welcome, good morning, and rise and shine. You are with Gayle Nicholson and the Seven Figure Sunrise Summit. I am so happy this morning to bring to you this gentleman from Crossed Industries. His name is Chaz Hickcox, and he is also with Outfitters. So, thanks so much for joining me this morning, Chaz. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good, Gail. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It looks a little chilly there now. As we're recording this is December. It's probably going to be even more chilly by the time people are watching this in January. Where are you
Oh
at,
yeah,
and how cold is it?
we're in Jacksonville, North Carolina. We got a cold front coming through. It was roughly low 30s this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything was pretty iced over. It's yeah, typical coastal Carolina winter.
Nice. Very nice. Now, what base are you near? Are you near Camp Lejeune, or is that further south from you?
Nope, yeah, it's Camp Lejeune is about 10 minutes behind me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. My son and my son-in-law and my daughter were out there for a couple of years. So yeah, North Carolina winters are actually kind of milder than you'd expect a lot of times. So enjoy it while you can.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know that you are a military person, veteran, I
hmm
assume, Navy or Marine?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Thank you, sir,
Yeah.
for your service. Marines are family to me. So, what started you on this entrepreneurial path, though, that you've been developing with Crossbone Outfitters and Crossed Industries?
Um, Really, it we were stationed down in Miami with a component of U.S. Southern Command, and quite frankly, I was doing a lot of fishing and a lot of that sort, and I was doing it on a more amateur level, and I was gaining some sponsorships, low level stuff, nothing too big a deal, and it was getting to the point where I was doing a lot of work for a lot of other people, and I figured out I could probably do the same amount of work and benefit myself at the same time. Um, in addition to that, if you've never spent any time in Miami, it's a really interesting place. Very diverse, very much a very Latin culture
Mm-hmm.
down there. Um, and unfortunately, if Spanish isn't one of your languages, it's really hard to get a job. And since my wife didn't speak Spanish, um, she was really struggling to find work. Um, and since she had a degree in computer science, it kind of made sense for her to build us a website and then base it off of what I was pretty much already doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that started off with Crossbone Outfitters at in the beginning of uh, what was that, 2017,
Yeah.
and then we built from there. A lot of hard lessons learned at the beginning. I'm a Marine, so it's transitioning, like doing business stuff at first was not necessarily second nature.
It is a different world, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, I I remember going to my day job and thinking, man, this is so easy. It's something I'd been doing for the better part of 20 years, and it was just second nature for me to do whatever the work I was doing, yeah, down there for Southern Command, and I'd go and try to make the business stuff work, and it was like, this is like pounding my head against the wall. I mean,
Hmm.
it was easier doing military stuff for me, just because it had been so ingrained.
That makes sense. Absolutely. But you seem to have pushed through it really well. What did it take for you to reach that two comma club milestone, if you will?
Um, well, it took a lot of persistence. I mean, that's number one. Um, you got to keep at it, and it's frustrating to say the least.
Mm.
Um, excuse me, extremely frustrating at times. So you know, it's military mindset. You're so used to you tell people to get something done, they get it done, or there's consequences. I mean, when you have an online business, you have people working with you and for you and all this other stuff. You tell them to get it done, and they don't get it done. What really are the consequences?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't work for you anymore. I mean, and you're left holding the bag of what they didn't accomplish, right?
Right.
Um, so that was frustrating. And you don't have a solid chain of command. And yeah, businesses have chains of command and stuff like that, but it's not as ironclad and concrete. So
Well, yeah, and that makes it a lot of sense because especially with an online based business, a lot
yeah,
of times your support staff is not in the same building with you. Um,
sometimes they're not even in the same state.
right, exactly. So it's not like there's going to be a sense of discomfort because the boss is on the floor, you know, kind of
Right.
thing. So how do you create a sense of accountability and integrity with such a patchwork of support staff, some of which may not have the same military training mentality of do the job that needs to be done because there's people depending on you type of mindset. How did you manage that?
It really was going through a lot of people, to be frank with you. A lot of people, you can cuss out, uh, told how horrible a person I was because I didn't like the way they were doing something, or you're gonna get the personal attacks because you say, hey, you suck. I'm sorry. You got to go. And then you'll get attacked personally. And there's plenty of that. Um, and struggling with that, I had to go through. And you're like, what the hell? And it's going up and down, all over the place. Uh, but I mean, you have to. People think you're being able to rely on, and then all of a sudden they got ulterior motives, and then you find that out the hard way.
Hmm.
Um, then you got to get rid of them, and then when you get rid of them, oh my God, the world's over. Um, and because you're such a horrible person because you got rid of them, now they're going to do everything they can to crush your little company or something like that. They'll say stupid stuff to you, or text messages or messenger stuff like that. One of the things that you really got to do is it really just not allow that to bleed into uh, the social media mantra. I mean, especially in our industry, in the fishing industry, it's a very small industry, right? Um, so, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I wanted to take screenshots of what people would say to me and just blast that all over the internet. Like, oh, this son of a gun said this. I'm like, ah. But then you got to ask yourself, cui bono, right?
Quibo.
Cui bono, who benefits? I
Ah,
don't.
right, right.
I don't benefit from that. What does that do? Okay, well, don't talk to Chaz because if things go wrong, he's going to screenshot it and he's going to tell the whole world. So I don't want anything to do with him. Um, right?
Right.
So,
So it does
uh,
inspire a whole new level of leadership and self determination and self discipline to not just give in to that, you know, revenge. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you publicly kind of thing, and
mhm.
kind of rise above that. Let go of the people that are toxifying the workspace. And what did that open up for you though? What was available when you got those people out of your way?
Well, once you start working with the right people, and the right people will always present themselves. I mean, I work with some of uh, the finest people out there. I mean, some of my closest friends are the guys that I work with, and you know, one of them specifically, a guy named Trayton Dollar. Um, you know, he's just one that no matter what, I can always rely on him for random stuff. I mean, he helps me out with events. He'll travel. You know, if we go do trade shows. You know, he traveled last year in 2019. East Tennessee Fishing Show. Didn't have the budget to pay him, but he came up anyway. We ended up taking care of him on the back end, but I mean, you know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We got another dear friend of mine, George. He's out in George and Amy. They're out in Ohio. They traveled out to the same fishing show to help us set up, help us do all that stuff. And when you find the right people, their loyalty will show through. And yeah, it's just they're always still around, and it makes it easy to have to drop the hat and do whatever I have to for them. You know, and then like the people who are not that way, when they get mad and call me a name or something, it's really easy to be like, okay, bye. I don't care. Go away.
Now that you realize how many really good people are out there, it's a lot easier to let go of the ones that are making rolling that rock up the hill a harder task than it has to be, right?
Right. And
now,
then
go ahead.
Don't want to leave anybody out because I so many people have helped me out so much, and that's a big thing. You know, with you know, Crossbone, most business people don't really understand how the fishing world works, mm-hmm. right? As far as like the marketing piece. So when I mentioned at the beginning that I was, you know, starting to build sponsorships and stuff like that, the fishing world is very similar to the racing world, right? Okay. It's the easiest comparison I can make for somebody that's from the outside looking in.
Okay.
Right. So as we go to these different events, we're all over the place, right? And very similar to the racing world, we're all independent guys mm-hmm. going to all these places. They're racing or rodeo, it's kind of the same thing, mm-hmm. right? And to save on expenses, we start picking up these little sponsors. These sponsorships or partnerships, as I prefer to call them, they can be anywhere from a percentage of discount on gear, or it can be a actual paid sponsorship. It varies on what level and what amount of responsibility you have towards the company and so on and so forth, mm-hmm. right? But at the end, the entire purpose is to save on the cost of competing, right?
Right.
And what that does for the companies, obviously, is it gets a local face for the company in front of the local guys that they normally would not reach on such a personal level. Mm-hmm. So in the business world, it's micro influencers on a very large, massive scale. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's what we have all over the place. So I have people that manage that because obviously that's a beast all in itself, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
So I got a guy on Facebook. He goes by Tango Victor, and that's Tommy Vic is his name, and he's an Army veteran over at Fort Bragg, mm-hmm. and he has helped me out immensely. And then finally, out in California, I got Scott Cavan. He runs it for Cross Industry. Um, and honestly, without Scott, oh my God, I'd have been lost in the last year. But Scott, and Tommy are on a three-way chat on Telegram, pretty much all day long, every day. Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
Constant communication. And that's really what it takes, because it really comes down to having that personal feel throughout, right?
Right.
And that's just a tiny little piece of it. And then building from there, having the right product, having the right marketing plan. So, I mean, while that's a big piece of the marketing plan, right, putting a personal touch, we're still required to do marketing and do advertising. Our return on investment from our promotional staff is it's all right. It's not the greatest. I do think it probably could be better if I was able to work it on a more full-time basis. Unfortunately, the Marine Corps.
Yep. They've got dibs on full-time right there.
Yeah, they do. But, excuse me. But our regular advertising is pretty huge. We do the regular, the social media advertising and all that stuff, and being able to unlock the appropriate audiences and having the appropriate advertising crew to put together the creatives and put together the videos and all that other stuff. And really, you got to put that face out there, because when things go wrong in the company, which they always will. Like this year, we were kicking ass all the way up until about May or June, right? Averaging over $100,000 a month, and just going to town and doing awesome. Which our biggest complaint was the fact that if they did financing, there was up to a week lag on some of the financing for us to finally get paid before we would ship something, right? And that was just financing company. Sorry, we don't ship before we get paid. Didn't happen.
Right.
Apologize for that, but no, we did that once. Never doing that again. We get burned.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what ended up happening is every once in a while, like, we go through multiple distributors for a lot of our stuff. And the reason we do that is that way we never have to worry about inventory, right? With multiple distributors, we don't have to keep track of it, because it's like, all right, well, these people are out, but they got some. Or those two are out, this guy's got some, right? Well, COVID really kind of screwed us this year, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
All three of our major boating electronics brands, and that would be Garmin, Lowrance, and Johnson Outdoors, which owns two companies, Humminbird and Minn Kota. They all three had some sort of factory shutdown this spring, right? Johnson Outdoors had the worst one out of Minnesota, which was 6 weeks, where they were completely shut down. In addition to that, when they did go back to work, they could only work at 50% capacity with 50% manpower. So, whereas, Garmin and Lowrance, they went back to full work. Bam, they filled it back up on all their back orders, filled everything out, got their production back up to where it should be, and we really haven't had a production problem, right? And it used to be before, even if we did have a back order, at most it might have been maybe 2 or 3 weeks at the very tops, if it was on a back order thing. Extreme most. With Johnson Outdoors, I still have back orders from June.
Wow.
in December. Yeah. Now you can imagine
Yeah.
somebody orders a trolling motor in June.
Chaz, we lost you. There you go. You're back.
Yeah, you forgive me. Somebody tried to call in. Um,
Yeah,
but
so yeah, if I'm ordering something electronic for fishing in June, I'm gonna want to use that for my 4th of July weekend.
absolutely.
You know, not Christmas.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Um, so, and we have estimated delivery times and whatnot from Johnson Outdoors. They're like, okay, 2 weeks. And that's what we tell the customer. Hey, back order, about 2 weeks. And for the last years, that's been pretty accurate, right? 2 weeks turns into a month. Like, well, this sucks. Turns into 2 months. Turns into 3 months. September, I'm calling Johnson Outdoors. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? Well, see, what they did was instead of boosting production to try to refill those orders, they decided to go and manufacture a knockoff product because somebody else's patent was up this summer and they really wanted to get out. And then they won an award at the International Fishing Show this summer.
Wow.
For that knockoff product as the best new product, right?
Yeah.
And then they launched a new generation of fish finder and a brand new line of fish finder. And then they're trying to come out with a new production of what they call 360 Live.
Okay.
All of which have nothing to do with the 6 weeks of back orders that they still owe me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not so good.
Right. So, of course, the customer doesn't see this. Right? Who catches it in the face? The guy that made the sale.
Right.
Not the guy that makes the product. So, anyway, and we're trying our best with, handling it with customers. I think usually we never had a problem with any of our terms and conditions before. And most of our terms and conditions, especially like with, large credit card orders and stuff like that, there's a substantial credit card fee that goes along with that. So, especially PayPal. PayPal's ridiculous, right? So, order cancellations, we charge a small cancellation fee to cover those non-refundable fees. Well, oh my God, we got lambasted all summer for that. It's like,
yeah.
But that's part of the terms and conditions. But I mean, I could sit here and get mad at the customer all day long. They're not wrong. They wanted their stuff when they wanted it.
Right.
I'm not mad at them. So if that's the only thing I could really recommend to anybody is you got to review those things. And when customers get mad about terms and conditions, you can't get mad at them back, but you have to. It is what it is.
Right. And it is a difficult pickle to be in because, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I read through my terms and conditions on anything that I've signed up for, and it's not dumb blonde mode. This is not going to make sense to me anyway. Click, let's go. Right. But yeah, as a business owner and you've got certain particular products and things like that type of thing, when the terms and conditions are there and somebody's complaining in spite of it, you can't just go to them and go, look, you didn't read it. It's not my problem. This is, you've got to be kind about it to a certain extent, correct? And you've got to walk your client through there, or else they will cease to be a client and they will tell all their friends to never be a client, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's the biggest thing that's hurt us this year, and that's something that's actually been our biggest learning point since owning the business, really. I mean, we had an issue last year where within a 2-week period we had somebody do about $30,000 worth of fraudulent orders with stolen credit cards,
Oh my.
which happens online. Oh yeah, that's bad. So and what people don't tell anybody is when you rightfully go to your bank and say, hey, that was a fraudulent charge, right? The bank sucks that money back into your card,
Mm-hmm.
like they should, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if that item's already shipped,
Yeah.
the thief gets their stuff, you get your money back, the company foots
Yeah.
the bill.
Yeah.
So that hurt us pretty bad last year. So and these are the two biggest growing pains that we've had. Since then, we use a third-party service with our credit card processing that literally won't let an order shift into complete until they've gone through the entire credit card and scrubbed it. And then once they scrub it, they pretty much ensure it that if that gets recalled or a chargeback,
Yeah.
they cover it because they already scrubbed it.
And for all of our listeners who may be interested in finding that third party company, can you give us a name?
Not right now because my wife handles it.
Well, definitely
But
reach out to Chaz. This, this is being recorded in December. You'll be showing up for the live Ask Me Anything this afternoon in January. So between now and then, your assignment, sir, is to find out the name of that third-party service from your wife.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Awesome.
She handles everything online.
That's phenomenal. All right, now let me ask you this. What one routine, ritual, practice, process would you say that's the reason why I'm as successful as I am right now?
I would say building social media. Routinely creating and editing content and providing content out there of personable content, right?
Yeah.
People try, and you look at social media content all over the place with like business content, and I even had to, I hate to say this, but I had certain marketers, great people, wonderful people, but I had to remind them that less is more when it comes to social media, right? And I don't mean by the amount of times that you're posting, but how you're posting it, right? So, like if you go through cross industries, Facebook, right? And if you look at like for the last couple of months, I've really sucked. I've had an injury go on. I've had a bunch of personal things going on. Not to mention spending a month away with the Marine Corps and all the other stuff. I really have not been keeping up with it the way I absolutely should be.
Right.
However, if you look at it leading up to, say, about May or June of this year, right? You see I'm posting every day, usually a couple times a day, stuff like that, right? And you're getting a sense of a personality that's behind the page, but there's not a whole lot of words in the posts. I don't, if there's going to be a whole lot of information sharing, turn the camera on and start talking to the camera.
Great point.
Don't put it in written word because nobody's going to stop and read it. Nobody stops and reads written word anymore. Turn the damn camera on, start talking to them, and be a human to your audience. Because, and we say gone are the days of small business shopkeeper that everybody loves to talk to. That that's not true. Everybody wants to see that small business shopkeeper that everybody wants to talk to, except for they're going to see it through their phone or whatever device they're using.
Right.
They're just not walking into the store. And with COVID, they can't walk into a store right now anyway. So.
Right. You got to do what you can do.
Right.
I like that. I'm kind of surprised though. I'll be honest. I would have thought that you'd said listening to your wife.
No, that just gets me through life.
Right. Hope you see another day. So then what did you specifically stop doing? Like, this is not helping me. I need to not do this anymore.
A lot. Let's see. Where to start with that? Specifically, stop doing. And it's completely answered out, and there's so much to go off of.
Right. Well, one thing that you've already mentioned is that you've stopped yourself from screenshotting situations where you could feel that you were right about it, but did it really benefit your business to show people how right you were about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's personal interaction. This is really where I wanted to go with it. Really, I stopped full on getting into the whole bit about politics, right? Now, every once in a while, I'll dive into there because that's one thing. If you talk to me in person, that's what I'm really interested in. I do have a personal belief that, if you don't pay attention to politics at some point in time, it's going to pay attention to you. Right?
Yep.
So every once in a while, you'll see something pop out for me on that. But one of the good things about being in the Marine Corps is we have a very strict political policy about politics on social media anyway.
Right.
So even if I wanted to, I really can't dive into it the way I would probably want to.
Gotcha.
But I see some of my fellow business owners whom I have massive amounts of respect for, right? And they dive into this whole politics thing, and let's be real here. I mean, any kind of conspiracy theory, left, right, up, down, center, put backwards, forwards, who gives a damn? They're not making any of us any money.
That is true. I mean, that is
whoever
true.
occupies the White House really does not care about cross industries. It doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't. But will one of their policies be better for small businesses than the other? Sure, and that's always going to be the case. But is anything we say on Facebook going to make it to the real world and make a difference? No. So if you really want to make that kind of change, if you really are what you say you are on any kind of social media about politics, social media, or social justice, or anything like that, get off the social media and go do something real in the real world. Otherwise, leave social media to be social and be friendly and be attract people with social media.
Yeah. That's very good advice. Very good advice. And in fact, even just this morning, as I was perusing through my Facebook feed, I have a vast array of different types of groups that I've cultivated over the years. So I've got like all kinds of different political leanings that are, in my feed. But
Right.
this morning, I went through and I spent 3 minutes just putting on snooze for 30 days. Anybody that was complaining about vaccinations, just because I don't want to hear it anymore. You're going to do or you're not going to do whatever it is that you're going to do or not going to do. This echo chamber of this is my opinion and everybody else with the same opinion gets to be with me, and anybody who doesn't have the same opinion gets to go to hell is not helping us at
Yeah.
all.
I mean, and when did we as Americans go to that anyway? I mean, I don't even understand that.
Yeah, we could have a long conversation offline
Yeah.
about that. Trust me,
Yeah.
because we're not so far different, I'm sure. But to bring it back to what today is about, I want to give you a moment to share your overarching wisdom that you have learned from becoming an online entrepreneur in the space that you have skills, talents, and expertise, to anyone out there that might be going, how can I make my cookie decorating skills $1 million maker for me? So, what is your wisdom on taking what it is that you love and transforming that into what gives you your living?
Really, at the end of the day, being able to go to people who are maybe they enjoy it, they like it, they are finding a hobby in it, or finding a new beginning in it, or have been doing it for a long time. It doesn't matter. Having an open mind with the people that you're addressing, number one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And being willing to both learn and teach from them at the same time. That's one of the reasons I like fishing so much, is that the, it's a practice, 100% a practice. There is no, we're dealing with a wild animal that makes up its own mind based on a myriad of conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could come up with a technique that works for me 90% of the time at this time of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else could come up with something that's the polar opposite that works for them at this time of the year and be more right, less right, or equally right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and that doesn't, skill level or experience level, it makes no difference in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, experience level goes a long way. I give you that. Just understanding what the fish are, what the fish are doing, so on and so forth. When it goes to other things with the spacely sprockets out there, right?
Right.
You have a passion for that. There's a reason you have a passion for that. The sheer fact that you have any kind of audience whatsoever says that they have somewhat of an interest in it. Your job now is to turn that interest into a passion through you.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily to sell it. You'll end up selling them shit, trust me. But if you are the catalyst from them going from zero to hero on that passion,
Mm-hmm.
then when they're doing the thing that they are now passionate about, they will always be thinking about what you got them doing.
Yeah. So be the leader, be
Yeah,
the
pretty much.
catalyst. That's beautiful. I love it. Any final thoughts before we send our seven figure seekers on their way for the day?
Uh, no, just keep on keeping on. I mean, everybody's going to go up and down. It's just persistence is the biggest key to everything. So
That is so true. So true. Persistence carries the day. Over skill, over talent, consistency, showing up, and just keep hitting it. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Chaz, for our conversation today. You've got some really, really good golden nuggets in here for people to glean from. I really appreciate your contribution and your time spent with me. We'll talk to you again real soon, I hope. Have a great day, everybody. Hit it hard, and we'll see you soon.
thank you, Gayle.